Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. New space, I'm super excited about it. Check it out, I'm gonna show you how I transform this room into this space that I'm in right here, right now. But before we continue with this video, please do all the things to help this channel grow. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, hit the bell icon so you know every single time I upload a video. I'm excited. Let's get started. So if you've been a fan of this channel, maybe you're new, here's a quick little recap. Earlier this year, my family and I moved into this brand new house. When we first got to this house, we came into multiple rooms looking for what could possibly be a space where I could set up my studio gear. This actual space being the initial idea before I found this other space, which was above a garage space that we had no idea existed. Here's a clip of what that space looked like. As I mentioned in that video, and I still stand by that, though that space is definitely a possibility, especially sometime down the road and in the future, but right now, it's just a huge financial undertaking for me, and it's not something that I can honestly see myself getting into within the next couple of years. So realistically, I revisited the idea of coming back into this very space. This was a space that isn't being used at all. This is simply a room that gives us complete access to electrical and some plumbing traps here. That's it. It made sense that I would at the very least entertain coming in here. Initially, I thought this room was going to be a little too narrow and not good enough to film, but as I kept messing around with ideas in my head, I don't know, the idea of me filming in here kind of made me excited. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I basically transformed this room from a closet into what you see today. So honestly, there's probably no better feeling than to be able to start off a new year in a brand new space. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've been using a corner of our basement. It's been quiet. It's been nice. I've been able to film in there, but I've been able to get work done as well. So it's been really, really usable space. But there's a closet that's behind me that I think might work a little bit better. Let's check it out. So I know what you're thinking, maybe this space isn't glamorous right now, but I have a vision. I see a future in this space. I see something really, really cool, and I want to make it happen. So join me in this video as I transform this closet into what I think could be a really awesome space. This is day one. I'm in pajamas, so I'm not really planning on painting or anything like that today. I'm gonna prepare the room. I'm gonna clean it up. I'm gonna clean up some wiring that's running through the ceiling up here, and yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Let's get started. Alright, first things first, we need to take care of this lighting situation. Now, I don't need a bunch of lighting right now because obviously we're just gonna do some construction in here. You can hear the water lines going in the background behind me, but I can barely see in here with the light that's currently there. So I have this light that I oftentimes take around with me when I cut hair as a barber, and I think it'll transform this room's lighting, so let's do that. I think that's better. I'm blind now, but I think it's better. Definitely a lot more light over there, right? Alright, now we're gonna do some cleanup here. This room, not a lot of junk in here, but there's obviously things that we put in here for storage, some stuff that we're gonna be donating. So I'm gonna remove the things that I'm not gonna be using and just keep the materials in here that I'm gonna use to paint with tomorrow. So let's clean up. Alright, so everything else that's on the floor right now, I'm going to be leaving there. This is all like paint materials I'm going to actually be using tomorrow. Right now the lighting's a little bit harsh, but I plan on making all of this better and right as I get more and more situated in the room. There's a lot to be addressed in here. There's a little bit of an echo. I can't necessarily have that when I'm in here recording and doing stuff, so we'll take care of that. I'm going to show you the ceiling. I think that particularly the reason why there's such an echo is because of the ceiling. So I may just be installing some sort of like drop cloud thing at some point down the road. But for now, I'm not going to really be focusing on that. I'm just going to kind of focus on the aesthetic of things. And there's some things to address, so I'm going to do that as part of my preparation to get tomorrow going smoothly. This is kind of going to be the wall that is going to have my desk on it. Now, instead of putting a desk here, my idea is to use shelving units sort of like this. So instead of actually having a desk taking up space because this room is very small and narrow, I want to install things onto the wall to hold things like my keyboard, my MIDI keyboard, my monitors, all that good stuff. So I have it actually mounted on the wall versus having an actual desk and speaker stands, because all of that stuff just takes up room in this space. So we don't want to do that. For now, I'm not putting sheetrock on these walls. I'm just going to paint them black. I think once I do that, everything will sort of disappear. And I'm going to do the same with the exposed wall behind this camera right here. And we'll just take it step by step and see how it goes. Okay, it's the next day. Good morning, everybody. I did do something after the cameras were off. I just installed a curtain back there that's going to eventually hide all of the electrical boxes. Obviously, we're going to need access to those electrical boxes, so I can't permanently put anything in the way of them. And so I'm going to leave a curtain there. And I have about 2 feet of space between the actual unit, the actual boxes and the curtain itself. So I feel like it's very, very safe. And yeah, today is paint day. Let's get it. So most of the painting is done. I got to do something about this lighting. It's a little too harsh, so we got to fix that up. But for the most part, the lighting that I'll be using in here has nothing to do with this lighting that's currently lighting up the entire room right now. It's going to be lighting that photography lighting, like videography lighting. So everything is pretty much painted, as you can see. And now I'm going to start installing the shelving. Hopefully this goes like I kind of saw it going in my head. So let's get started. Alright, so I got the shelves installed here, which I'm going to be using for my monitor, piano. I decided not to mount the speakers. I'm going to use my speaker stands instead. That'll be the only thing kind of touching the floor in this section. I think I'm going to start mounting some additional lighting now and see what that will look like, especially in the Barber section here, which I don't think I really spoke about. Okay, so if you're a fan of this channel, then you know that I also cut hair. Look, I decided to try to bring my barber shop or my suite into this room as well. It's a tight space, but I think both can coincide with each other. I think it'll make things a little more professional looking when it comes to, if I'm cutting hair, then I actually have like a whole, you know, monitor and the good speakers where they can actually watch something and listen to music as I cut their hair, and then vice versa. I think it's just a cool aesthetic as well, having a barber chair in the studio. One thing to note, the only time I bring people into my personal suite, my barbershop suite, is actually people that I know. Other than that, I do house calls more times than not. And so when I bring them here, it's a very selected clientele, so it's people that I'm very close with. Now when it comes to actually recording, I'm almost always alone. Rarely ever do I have a guest with me. So I don't need it to be a massive space. I just need it to be functional for me. So I think if my vision is correct, this is gonna come out kind of dope. So The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start bringing in some gear here, basically the barbershop stuff, move that stuff in, and then just take it from there, see what happens. Alright, so the very first thing you're going to notice when you walk into the studio is the guitars right there in the corner. Right now it's on a stand that I think I want to eventually replace, though I enjoy that stand. It served me well. I've had it for many years. I think it's time to upgrade it at some point, so we're gonna do that. But it has all the guitars that you've seen on this channel before, nothing new on there. Who can afford to buy a guitar right now, right, when I'm in the middle of redoing a whole room here? Now here's the thing that I haven't been able to do in a really long time, like in years actually, and that's bring back my amps. This is obviously I don't have a ton of amps anymore like I used to. I used to have much more of a deep collection of amps, but now that I switched over to products like the Kemper and the HX Stomp, I don't have much need for amps anymore. Don't tell the real guitarists out there. So all I have left are my babies here. This is the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, the Fender Blues Junior, and this Valve State Marshall here. That actually this whole panel here is basically fried. The only thing that works is the power amp section, and it has an amazing greenback speaker in it, and so it's really great for referencing, like for example the HX Stomp. I can put it through here and basically give it volume without it being affected by any preamp section, so it's actually kind of a cool thing. So that's why I keep it around. Underneath all of the amps right here are my extra pedals. I've featured them on this channel before. Everything from 3 Boss DD5s. I didn't even know I had 3 Boss DD5s. I still have a carbon copy. I still have the little Dunlop mini wah. Yeah, just a ton of cool pedals here that I totally forgot that I had. I have the Emerson M drive, which I think is an amazing drive as well. Just stuff that I totally forgot about, to be honest with you, and I'm so happy to be able to showcase them and to be able to pull them out if I need them. So this is a section that I'm kind of the most proud of because I decided to go sort of different than I've ever done before, and not really something I see too often, especially in home studios, because everyone goes for the studio desk, right? The typical studio desk that costs a ton of money, and with rightfully so, especially if you have rack gear. I think that is the right way to go. But here's what I did that's been catering sort of to my personal setup. Now I've had the same setup for years now, so this is why I felt confident enough to actually do this kind of a setup. I eliminated the desk altogether and I used shelving units directly onto the wall. As you can see here, a little shelf was put on for my keyboard and mouse. I also mounted a little like shelving rack thing to hold my fader port, my Personas fader port, and some little trinkets like my capo and slide, and I have my own version of the tone brush. Everyone should have one of these, aka use it to dust stuff off. Obviously on this shelf I have my MIDI keyboard here, and then obviously my screen. So it's really convenient. Everything's on the wall. What it does is it eliminates anything on the floor, and I'll show you that right now. Right here is under the desk. Obviously this is where the keyboard is, right? This is the thing that I love about this. Since the space is so narrow, I literally have nothing on the floor, no table legs to get in the way. Even something like the cables that are behind me here hanging on this wall. See, these cables don't stay in the studio. These travel with me, so they go from session to session when I do out of studio session work or when I play gigs. These cables go with my pedal board, so it's not like channeled in with the rest of my cabling. I need it to be out, but I don't want it sitting on the floor because it's going to get in the way. I have limited space to walk through and to get around in here, so I don't need these things in the way. I've put little screws in here all over these walls to be able to hold all of these cables. This is the power cable for my pedal board. This is the cable that goes from my pedal board to my interface. And then even this one that's dangling right above my head here is what goes into my guitar. I use these closet shelving racks to hold the shelves so that they have these little loops here which would normally hold a pole for your clothing, and now I could use them to hold cables. Feel free to steal that idea, a little tight space studio hack. Now, as far as the gear that I'm using, nothing has changed. My pedal board is the same. All of the stuff that I've gone over in previous videos are the same. I'm still using the Yamaha HS5. I'm still using the Presonus Audio Box i2. Everything's exactly the same. It's just in a new space right now. On this shelf mounted over here, if you look all the way up to right here, there's my studio mic. Pretty cool. So I just moved that down when I need to speak into it and to do overdubs and things like that. Right here is the Barber section. This is the Barber suite area. I debated about putting this in here because I wasn't sure there was going to be enough room, if it was going to be, I don't know, even sanitary, right, to have a studio space and a barber, shop essentially right next to each other. But I gave my first haircut in here today actually, and the space was perfect. The lighting, I'm still working on it, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not perfect in this video either, but definitely I can work with it. That's 100% for sure. The chair has plenty of space to turn. I got my mirror, I have all of my trinkets all ready to go, all in its place. So it's really fun and convenient and very easy. It's just a nice intimate area. I know that my client definitely appreciated the vibe that we had going on in here, especially the fact that I was able to play music. So I have to say, huge win so far. This is basically the angle of where I'm usually cutting hair. The chair is mounted right here. I just lift it right up. All of my barber gear is right here. It's always in a travel case because I do a lot of house visits. That's me. So this is the other section of the barber. This is the mirror that I was referring to. I got some stuff hanging here, like my blow dryers, my water bottles and stuff like that. So the client gets to see themselves as they get a haircut. This is what they see. Hi. The best part about this is just honestly having this really streamlined workflow. I can work on a lot of different artistic things in here, whether it's filming, haircuts, tutorials, YouTube videos, Instagram videos, working on music. All of that stuff could be done all in this room and not really bat an eye, not really have to move or change areas or do anything. Everything is accessible, easy to get to. Man, it's definitely been a blessing working in this room the last couple of days. I finished up this room in pretty much one day. I did one pre-prep night, and then the very next morning I ate breakfast, came down here and worked here till about midnight easily, and got everything set up, including cleaned out the previous areas and rooms that I was using for my barber suite and my studio setup. So all of those areas are now officially cleaned out and ready to be reused and repurposed in different ways, whatever the family needs in the future. But this looks like it's going to be a permanent space for me, at least for a while, and I'm not complaining. It is really, really great for me. So I like the way the black came out. I will admit it's very dark. I have to figure out a way to properly distribute lighting in here, specifically for the videos. Not so much the vibe. The vibe is cool, but for the videos for sure, to be able to get clarity and not make it look like it's just darkness in here all the time, because it's not. It's actually quite dope. So what did this cost me? Some people like to know about those things. Well, obviously the equipment I already had, the space I already had, so I'm not renting out a space or anything like that. So it literally just cost me a can of paint, the paintbrush, the rollers, to just get it all painted and then get stuff installed. This is really, really the most cost-effective way to go from one space to another without spending almost any money at all, with the exception of just the painting equipment. It's somewhat tight in terms of space, but not like constricting in any kind of way. Most important thing is, and I hope it all comes off out, on this video, is everything has its place and almost nothing is on the floor. Even my pedal board is in a place where it's out of the way, and so there's entryways and no cables on the floor. Every single thing has its place. I'm almost positive this room is going to evolve too. I'm going to figure out ways to make this room even better. I want to address some of the sound issues that I have in here. The ceiling is not treated right now. I have no sound paneling on the walls. That might change. Even just the way I'm even storing the guitars behind me, that might even change. It's taken up a little bit of space, so I'm entertaining the idea of either getting a smaller guitar stand or maybe even mounting the guitars on the wall. I haven't quite decided that yet. This is the first time in years that I've been able to pull out these amps and actually sit them behind me. Though I don't get to turn them on every day because I obviously I'm using the HX now more so than anything else nowadays. I still feel like I love that I can actually plug them in, do some comparisons with them. So that's pretty dope. That's a great thing to have back in my studio. The other good thing is to be able to have some of the pedals that I have enjoyed using throughout the years out here as well. That's a big benefit. I haven't been able to do that in a really long time. As you can probably tell, I'm super excited about this space. I'm very, very grateful for it because quite honestly, this is not something that everyone gets to have, right? This is a dream come true for me, and to be able to not only have it, but to have it in my home where I don't have to worry about leaving my family. I'm just literally downstairs from my house and just working in my office and my barber shop and my studio. It's amazing. It's a great multi-purpose room for me that has I don't know, it's just the best. Thanks so much for watching. Again, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, take care.